Abuja, in late December, had a special kind of beauty. The harmattan wind made the air cool and dry. Dust floated gently, and the sun looked pale, like it was hiding behind a thin curtain. Somewhere nearby, a man was roasting suya, and the smell mixed with the sound of Christmas songs from a small church. Precious was not in the mood for parties that day. Her cousin Anita had convinced her to attend a wedding in Garki. "You can't just stay at home all the time," Anita had said. "You're in Abuja now. You should meet people." Precious had only resumed her first year at the University of Abuja a few weeks ago. She was still getting used to school life and the big city. Weddings were not her thing, too noisy, too many people, too many aunties asking when you will marry. But Anita wouldn't take no for an answer. So Precious found herself in a peach lace gown that hugged her curves gently, the soft fabric shimmering under the lights. Her jeel was wrapped tightly, its edges brushing her cheeks. She felt a little out of place but carried herself with quiet confidence. The wedding hall was full of bright colors, yellow, green, purple, and the sound of drums mixed with happy laughter. Women danced in heels, men clapped in rhythm, and plates of jollof rice and fried chicken passed from table to table. John was at the wedding too, but not as a guest who came to eat and dance. He was in his final year at the University of Abuja and a close friend of the groom. His job was to help make sure everything went smoothly, especially for the photographer. The first time he saw Precious was when she stepped outside the hall for some air. She stood near a low wall, sipping bottled water and letting the harmattan breeze touch her face. The sunlight caught the soft brown of her skin, and for a moment, John just watched her quietly. He walked up to her, smiling. "Escaping the music?" he asked. She glanced at him quickly, taking note of his tall frame and the simple but neat white agbada he wore. "Not escaping," she said. "Just taking a break." "From what?" "Everything," she replied, with a little shrug. John chuckled. "That's a big thing to say at a wedding. And you? Shouldn't you be inside, catching the bouquet or whatever men do at weddings?" "I'm on duty. Friend's wedding. I'm like the unofficial crew." The music from the hall was faint where they stood. A light breeze passed, and Precious rubbed her arms. Without a word, John took off his jacket and held it out to her. "You don't even know me," she said, raising an eyebrow. "That's true," he said with a calm smile. "But I know you're cold." She hesitated, then took it. The jacket smelled clean and warm, and she felt strangely safe in it. They spoke for a short while. She told him she was a new student studying architecture. He told her he was finishing his degree in project management and working part-time with an NGO. When the wedding ended and Anita drove them home, Precious didn't expect to see him again. But as she sat in the car, her phone buzzed. A message appeared. "It's John. You left without saying goodbye." She read the message twice and smiled to herself. The first time John asked Precious out, she almost said no. Not because she didn't want to see him, she did, but because something in her didn't like feeling too available. Still, she agreed, and they decided to meet at a small cafe near Jabi Lake. When she arrived, John was already there, seated by the window. He was wearing a simple navy blue shirt and jeans. His face lit up when he saw her walk in. Precious had chosen a soft pink blouse with a black skirt, her hair in loose braids that brushed her shoulders. They talked for hours about school, about Abuja, about how expensive everything was. John told her about his final year project and how he hoped to find work quickly after graduation. Precious spoke about her dreams of designing beautiful homes one day. John liked the way she was passionate about her dreams. Precious liked the way he listened, really listened, without rushing to speak. But even on that first date, their different personalities peeked through. When the waiter mixed up their order, Precious frowned and was quick to point it out. John, on the other hand, just smiled and said, "It's fine. Let's just enjoy the food." She gave him a look. "If we don't speak up, they'll keep making the same mistake." He laughed softly. "Maybe. But sometimes peace is better than being right." She rolled her eyes, but smiled. She liked his calm, even if it annoyed her a little. When they left the cafe, John walked her to the roadside where she could get a taxi. The harmattan air was cooler now. "I'll call you," he said. "Don't call too soon," she teased. He tilted his head. "And why not?" "Because you'll seem desperate," she said, a mischievous smile tugging at her lips. John grinned. "Maybe I am." And just like that, she laughed, the kind of laugh that made people turn to look. The weeks after their first date were filled with phone calls, late-night chats, and small meetups around Abuja. John would take Precious to quiet spots, Joby Lake in the evening, Millennium Park on lazy Sundays, and sometimes to the open-air market where they would buy roasted corn and share a bottle of Coke. Precious liked how he treated her. He never tried to show off, but he always made her feel like she mattered. When she had exams, he would send her encouraging messages. When she was stressed, he would crack a silly joke just to make her smile. One Saturday afternoon, they went to a friend's wedding in Wuse. It was another colorful celebration. The bright lace outfits, the talking drums, the smell of fried meat and palm wine in the air. As they sat at a table watching the bride and groom dance, Precious leaned closer to John. "Weddings are beautiful," she said softly. "They are," John agreed. She turned to look at him. "Do you think about yours?" He chuckled. "You're moving too fast. I don't even have a job yet." Precious frowned a little. "But you will soon. And maybe by then, we'll know." John reached for her hand under the table and squeezed it gently. "Let's focus on now. The future will come when it's ready." By the middle of the year, John had finished his final exams. But finding a good job in Abuja was harder than he expected. He picked up small projects with NGOs, sometimes traveling to nearby towns. But the pay was just enough to cover his rent and basic needs. Precious, still in her first year, didn't mind that he wasn't rich. She liked that he was hardworking. But her friends, and sometimes her family, would make comments. "Ah, Precious," her mother once said on the phone, "that your John is still looking for work? You better open your eyes. Love is sweet, but money is the fuel." Precious didn't like hearing that. But deep down, she sometimes wondered too. She had grown up in a middle-class home where her father always provided. Would love be enough if life got harder? One evening, they met at a small restaurant near Garki. Precious had been upset all day after hearing her friends gossip about John's lack of ambition. "John," she began as they sat down, "don't you think you should be more aggressive about finding work? Maybe try Lagos or Port Harcourt." John looked at her calmly. "I'm applying everywhere I can, Precious, but I can't just rush to a city where I have no contacts. I want to be smart about it." She sighed. "It just feels like you're too comfortable." His jaw tightened. "You think I enjoy being in this position? Precious, I'm doing my best. You know the job market here." Her voice softened. "I know. I don't want us to be stuck." They ate the rest of their meal quietly. Later, as he walked her to the bus stop, he slipped his hand into hers. "Precious," he said, "I love you, but we can't let other people's opinions control our pace." She nodded, but inside, the little seed of worry had been planted. By Precious's second year at the University of Abuja, she and John had been together for over a year. They knew each other's moods, little habits, and even unspoken thoughts. Precious could tell when John was worried, even if he smiled. John could tell when Precious was annoyed, even if she laughed. But the closer they grew, the louder the outside voices became. One Sunday after church, Precious's mother pulled her aside. "My daughter," she began, "you're not getting younger. If this John really wants you, why has he not made his intentions known? Even if he doesn't have all the money yet, let him come and talk. That is the proper way." Precious shifted uncomfortably. "Mummy, we're both still building our lives." Her mother shook her head. "Marriage is not about waiting for the perfect time. If he is serious, he should show it. And if he is not, don't waste your youth." The words stayed in Precious's heart long after she left home that day. It wasn't only her family. Friends, classmates, and even strangers had opinions. At weddings, older women would lean close to her ear and say, "You're next, right?" When she smiled and said, "Not yet," they would nod knowingly, as if they understood some secret truth about her life. John felt the pressure too. His uncles would call, reminding him that a man was not truly respected until he had settled down. One even told him bluntly, "If you wait too long, she might leave you for someone more ready." One evening, Precious and John sat by Joby Lake. The water was calm, and the fading sun turned the sky orange. Precious played with the edge of her scarf, her voice quiet. "John, what if they're right?" "About what?" he asked. "About Us. About waiting too long. He turned to face her fully. Precious. I'm not waiting because I don't want to marry you. I'm waiting because I want to marry you well. Not in a rush. Not with debt. Not in a way that makes us start our life in stress. She looked away, a small frown on her lips. But what if, while you're waiting, life passes us by? John reached for her hand. Then, let it pass, as long as we walk through it together. His words were steady, but in his heart, he wondered how much longer they could hold on before the pressure from family and society pulled them apart. It happened on an ordinary Saturday evening. John had just returned from a 2-day NGO trip to Nasarawa. He was tired, dusty, and still had a pile of emails waiting, but he promised Precious they would meet at their usual cafe. When he arrived, Precious was already seated, her phone in her hand. She didn't smile when she saw him. "You're late," she said simply. "I know. I'm sorry. The bus was delayed." "You're always late now? Always busy? Always tired?" John blinked. "Precious, I'm trying. You know I'm working every job I can to save." She cut him off. "Save for what, John? We've been together 2 years. People are beginning to think you're just passing time with me." His chest tightened. "Is that what you think too?" Her eyes glistened, but she didn't answer directly. "I'm 23 now. By the time you're ready, how old will I be? What if you still don't have enough? What if something happens?" John's voice was calm, but his hands gripped the table edge. "So what are you saying? That love isn't enough for you unless it comes with a wedding ring now?" Her tone softened, but stayed firm. "I'm saying love has to move forward. And right now, it feels like we're standing still." They didn't argue loudly. There was no shouting, no scene. But after that day, something between them shifted. Texts became shorter, calls became fewer. Even when they met, their conversations felt like careful steps on fragile glass. One afternoon, John received a message from Precious. "We need to talk." They met at the same spot by Jabi Lake, where they had shared so many laughs. The air was cool, the water gentle, but the warmth between them was fading. Precious's voice trembled as she spoke. "John, I still love you. I always will. But I need more than love right now. I need certainty. I need to know where we're going." John swallowed hard. "And I can't give you that. Not yet." Tears slipped down her cheeks, but she smiled sadly. "Then maybe this is where we stop, so we don't destroy the good memories we have." He reached out, brushed away a tear, and pulled her into a long, quiet hug. Neither wanted to let go, but both knew they had to. When they finally stepped back, John whispered, "Take care of yourself, Precious." "And you too," she replied. She turned and walked away, her peach scarf fluttering in the wind, the same way it had on the day they first met. Months later, John still thought of her when he passed the cafe, or saw a bride in a peach lace gown. Precious still remembered his calm voice whenever life felt overwhelming. They loved each other deeply, but love in the face of time, money, and pressure had not been enough. And maybe, in another life, it would have been. 3 years had passed. Abuja had changed, new buildings, new roads, new faces. But for John and Precious, life had taken them in separate directions. John finally landed a steady job with an international NGO. He traveled often, mostly to rural communities, helping set up water projects. His work was fulfilling, but sometimes, in quiet hotel rooms, he still thought of her. Precious had finished her degree in architecture and was now working with a construction firm in Maitama. She had grown wiser, calmer, but some part of her still remembered John's gentle way of listening. It was a cloudy afternoon in December when their paths crossed again. Precious was at a supermarket in Woos, reaching for a bag of rice from the top shelf. The moment she turned, she froze. "Precious?" She knew that voice instantly. John stood there, a little older, his hair cut shorter, his smile still the same. For a heartbeat, they just stared. "You look different," he said softly. "So do you," she replied, smiling faintly. They ended up having coffee at the small cafe next to the supermarket. The air was filled with unspoken words. They talked about work, about family, about the little things life had thrown at them. At one point, there was a pause. John looked at her, his voice lower. "I thought about you. More than I should have." Precious's eyes softened. "Me too." But both of them knew their lives had moved on. Precious was seeing someone new, kind, stable, and ready for the future she once wanted from John. John, though single, had a career that took him far away for weeks at a time. As they finished their coffee, John reached for the bill, but Precious stopped him. "Let me," she said with a small laugh. "I can afford it now." He chuckled. "I never doubted you could." Outside, the sky had turned golden with the setting sun. They stood there for a moment, the harmattan breeze carrying faint memories between them. John extended his hand, but Precious surprised him with a hug. It was warm, familiar, and heavy with all the things they didn't say. "Take care of yourself, Precious," he whispered again. The same words he had said years ago. She smiled sadly. "And you too, John." This time, when they walked away, neither turned back. Some love stories don't end in marriage, but they live forever in the heart. Some love stories don't end with anger. They end with silence. John and Precious were not perfect, but for a time, they were everything. And though forever faded, the memory still burns. When forever fades,